Welcome everyone to today's podcast, Compliance Countdown. The Clock is Ticking, a series that we are going to bring to you over the next couple of months to introduce the criticality of the Department of Defense mandate that went into effect last November the 10th. Today, episode 1 about cybersecurity, mature modeling certification, CMMC. I'm your host, Tim Samuels, the Assistant Vice Chancellor at Dallas College and providing leadership of our CEN Global Training Institute. And in this episode and in every episode, we're going to talk about what organizations need to know, what organizations and people need to do, and why waiting could be very expensive. And now I'd like to introduce Sravan Ankaraju with Divergence Academy and our subject matter expert today and along for the ride for the rest of our series all around cybersecurity and CMMC.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm a president and CEO of Divergence Academy. We've been partners with Dallas College, I would like to believe, at least a decade now, and it's been a fantastic journey, not only for all the things we did and all the things that are coming. CMMC happens to be the first one. I'm super excited about what CEN Global Training Institute is trying to do with AI and governance and all the other stuff. And here's a big idea, Tim. Here's a big idea. Self-assessments or the honor system. Phase 2, which starts on November 10, 2026, is a road test.
I like that. Now, when you talk about self-assessments, kind of educate the audience in terms of what we've been historically doing leading up to this critical juncture with the Department of Defense, Sravan. And
yes.
Self-assessments really means what, and what is going to be drastically different as we get to this enforcement phase?
Yeah, level 1, CMMC level 1 assessments or all self-assessments. It is an organization going in and doing a survey on themselves. It's a diagnostic, basically saying how they operate IT, how do they do contract information, federal contract info. Those were the details that a company would fill. Phase 2 is, when I say road test, is literally about verification. You're no more just filling information and doing a survey. Now comes the real test.
So the road test is kind of like cranking the car and starting the vehicle and the engine's running. And it's almost like on your mark, get set, go, because the race is on to get to the finish line.
Right, especially in Dallas, city of Dallas. If you look at it, they say you got to have an inspection, and you got to have an inspection done, and you may have to do your inspections yearly, and you got to get a good car, you got to have a good driver, you got to have a good license, and you need to get it inspected.
I like that. Let's start with the obvious question: why are Dallas College corporate training leadership and an AI and Cybersecurity Academy sitting down together to host a compliance broadcast? Well, it's because partnerships matter. And with partnerships like this, with Dallas College, along with the Divergence Academy, we'll be able to lead to successful compliance, but it's going to take the teamwork and the partnership to make that happen. From our perspective at Dallas College and the CEN Global Training Institute, workforce readiness has always been about helping employers stay competitive. Today, cybersecurity and compliance have become workforce issues, not just technology issues. We'll talk more about that later. Many companies think this is an IT challenge, but in reality, it's a leadership challenge, a talent challenge, and a business continuity challenge. Sravan, why should a company that's never heard the term CMMC, again standing for Cybersecurity Mature Modeling Certification, care that our organizations are working together?
The big one is because it affects more businesses than most leaders realize. For CEN, it's about reach. CEN brings reach, trusted development, innovation, and the workforce development, and skill. Divergence brings the expertise, the cybersecurity expertise, the AI compliance frameworks, and AI-enabled readiness strategies. Together, Tim, I think we are helping organizations understand what's coming before they find themselves unprepared. And that's the big one.
Fair to say then that ultimately we're trying to make sure organizations don't get left behind.
Absolutely. Let's. Yeah, and there's so much leading up to November 10, 2026 that if they do not get started now, they're going to stay unprepared. I think the time clock is ticking. Time is now.
So, Sravan, I use that long term, cybersecurity mature modeling certification.
Yes.
We break it down into an acronym, but talk to me about this acronym.
I think let's drop the acronym soup. Let's drop the acronym soup. And CMMC, at the end of the day, is about, are you ready for cybersecurity verification? So it's a driver's license for handling controlled unclassified information. They call them sensitive defense information. If you don't have the required license level, you don't get to drive the contract.
So, and that's a great analogy, Sravan. So is this something completely new?
No. We've had this 800-171, NIST 800-171. There were always requirements to provide documentation that you are being compliant. This is the first time we're getting into verification. Verification is we want to know that the controls that you set up in place to manage your IT and the infrastructure for sensitive information can be verified. Show us what you got.
Interesting. So this isn't a brand new rule. It's more accurate to say that the government is now requiring proof that organizations are actually doing what they're already committed to doing. Is that
That's
correct?
exactly it. That's exactly it. So now we get into yearly checks. We also get into the world of what is called a C3PAO. C3PAO is certified third-party assessors. They're going to come verify your documentation, ensure that the controls you set are in place. There are 110 practices. They're going to be soon be called requirements. And there are 14 domains. All of this requires us to have a system in place.
Interesting. Let's talk about some myths.
Yes.
There's some myths that we want to bust and get this word out. Beginning with number one, people may say, well, I have until 2028. Something we hear all the time that may be a big misconception.
Yeah, many organizations believe that they have years before they need to act. The reality is your deadline is in 2028. Your deadline is the next contract. Your deadline is a recompete or the opportunity that requires compliance. So the clock is ticking. It's not just about November 10, 2028.
Myth number two, it's just an IT problem. How many times have we heard that? Is that
All the time.
not correct?
No, it's no more just the IT problem. It's the technology matters, governance matters. Someone has to define what the scope of the engagement is, scope of the engagement with Department of Defense. And they need to manage documentation, gather evidence. Leadership is critical. The signature that goes on the final contract is somebody high up there. Their signature is important. So when you think about it, it's more than IT.
It's going to be organizational.
Yes.
So let's move to myth number three. I'll start whenever we get to a contract and the contract is required.
Yeah, until everybody starts at the same time, right? Until everybody starts at the same time. Now you're competing for the same resources. There are not many C3PAO resources, and I think that's why we're talking about readiness. We're talking about not just organizational readiness, we're also at Ascend Institute, we're trying to build the next levels of assessors and practitioners. So it's the entire ecosystem that Ascend is trying to build. So when I think about it, you got to get started, otherwise you're going to be in the line for a very long time.
So we know the Department of Defense is a massive organization.
Yes.
No question. I think everybody would understand that. So quickly talk a little bit about, Sravan, who all does this affect? We're talking about suppliers, but break that down for us.
It's not just your major defense contractors. We're not just talking about the ones we know about, the big names. It's also for that person that is working with the prime contractor, your machine shop, the manufacturer, that a single person in a room having a virtual machine, a desktop sitting there and doing contract. They too are affected because they are the ones supplying information through the chain up to the prime contractor to the Department of Defense.
So we have an enormous ecosystem of suppliers and manufacturers, technology firms, specialty providers, and the list goes on that support these larger defense organizations, those big names that you referenced.
Yes.
many may not realize that they're already on the clock.
Yes, yes. And that's the big bottleneck we are talking about here. November 10th is not that far off. And we are 5 months there, and I think we said 132 days on and off, right? We're saying the clock is ticking, and risk is about not just the compliance. The biggest risk is the opportunity, the business opportunity. If you cannot demonstrate compliance readiness, you lose the eligibility for contracts or partnerships.
So it doesn't matter how big you are or how small you are. You know, I'm thinking about that 40-person manufacturing, machining shop that might have the one contract.
Yes.
It impacts them as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. That may be their own primary revenue. That's the contract that they have. And if they lose it, they have to wait for a long time to get back in line or get back through the process. So you're absolutely right.
Which could be devastating to a small operation where a larger company might have other offsets to revenue gain and that kind of thing.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And you cannot take people off the machine shop and focus only on this. They also have other things to do. So time's now.
What about the cost of waiting? 2028 may appear to be down the road and off in the distance, but what is the cost of waiting? We're talking about financial jeopardy potentially, but it takes a while to get through.
We're talking about 6 to 9 months of work to get ready for a C3PAO assessment. C3PAO is your certified third party. So if it takes 9 months and you're talking about, I'm going to wait till November 28, let's work backwards. We are now getting into February, March of 2028. Well, if you want to get there, you want to know what the scope of the engagement is going to look like and what you're going to do now. So we are already running against time, and there are not many assessors in the ecosystem. We got to produce assessors. We got to produce practitioners. We got to get an organization ready, and we got to get them ready to get a contract approved. There's a lot of work to do, even if you're thinking about November 2028.
So a quick question to follow up on that. So is assessors the biggest gap?
Yes.
Is that where the bottleneck is? And so if everybody waits at the last minute to try to get compliant with the federal mandate, there's going to be a major slowdown.
Exactly. And there's another one in the world of cyber CMMC, which is called a third-party determination. And third-party determination is almost like your clearance check. So everybody that is getting through this process of becoming an assessor, they still have to go through that determination. And that determination is taking long too. Right? So if you think about, hey, November 2028 or November 2027 or November 2026, get started now.
So consequences, times lost, contracts that you may not be able to compete for.
Yes.
And certainly revenue considerations and others. So this is quite significant.
Absolutely.
And the enforcement with the Department of Defense, I'm just curious. You said the rules have been in place over time.
Yes.
But what really brought about the enforcement need now? Why last November 10th did the DOD bring about this enforcement mandated and now compliance is critical?
Yeah, what's interesting is we are in the version 2 of CMMC. The version 1 started the process with 5 main areas of focus in 2020. So it took a little bit of time for us to be here. Now we're 2025. They said, okay, we are on, we are moving forward, and they gave us a little bit of time, the 12 months time to get started. November 2026. It's mandatory, every contract. So we've been working on this for a little over 5 years. Now it's time.
And we're not just talking, just to emphasize this point, we're not talking about just tier 1 suppliers. We're talking about the full funnel.
Yes, sir.
Of anybody that contracts with DOD entities.
Correct. Any pass-through, anything coming down from DOD to prime contractors to suppliers, everybody that's in the chain.
So let's talk about what we can do to get everybody compliant, Sravan, and turning our attention, because this brings us back to workforce readiness.
Yes.
We need trained professionals who understand compliance, cybersecurity, governance, and documentation has to be in order.
Yes.
So that will be the way forward, right? So we've talked about risk. Talk about some of the opportunities and how the readiness component can get people where they need to get and to get there before 2028 without jeopardizing potential contractual loss opportunities.
Sure. The good news is that readiness is a process. And in the world of CMMC2 and a lot of governance frameworks out there, they talk about awareness and training. So awareness and training for every company is super important. So readiness that Ascend is going to offer for CMMC is not just for CMMC. It may also become readiness for entire cybersecurity related conversation. Organizations don't have to solve everything tomorrow. They just need to be prepared to solve it. And the first step is understanding where they stand today. That's the super big important part that organizations have to realize and seek Ascend Institute out.
So let me ask you this. The purpose of this podcast today is to bring awareness, which is going to need to occur before action, and to help people understand the criticality of being ready to move towards compliance. Talk a little bit about Divergence Academy, Sravan, and what we've got in place. We've got a rollout starting in August.
Yes.
There'll be more information about that. At the conclusion of this presentation, there will be a marketing piece with a QR code that will drive traffic, we hope.
Yes.
But what else would you like to say regarding our first exciting launch coming out in August?
August 18th, 19th, that's the date we picked. It's going to be in Dallas downtown.
Right here in this building.
Right here in this building, Bill Priestley. It's a 2-day event. And the exciting part is engaging other folks that are in similar businesses, working with DoD, or trying to get an awareness in place. And Divergence has been doing this with veterans and as an organization teaching cybersecurity, AI governance, network engineering, cloud engineering. So we are at a big inflection point now. We're saying AI hurts, cyber hurts AI. And if you think about the big picture with all those things that we're now talking about from whether it is OpenAI or Claude, we're talking about what does it mean for an organization? I think as an innovation charter that Ascend Institute has and the things that we're all thinking about, I think we can bring a lot more awareness to the organizations across state of Texas and hopefully the entire United States. That's my hope.
That is fantastic. So August 18th and 19th
yes, sir,
will be the first opportunity in the partnership that we've talked about between Divergence Academy and Dallas College and the Ascend Global Training Institute.
Yes.
But is it just a 2-day training and that's it?
No,
workforce ready now?
So it gets better. It gets better. We have a readiness, and then we have awareness is the first start. Awareness of what CMMC is. Then we get into a 5-day readiness for organizations that are trying to implement CMMC. Come on in. We're going to walk you through the implementation. What does it take to implement all the controls in place? And then you get into what we call a certified CMMC professional. And the last piece is certified CMMC assessor. You got to have a professional certification in place to become an assessor. So it's a four programs built into Ascend Institute Cybersecurity CMMC program: awareness and training, readiness to implement, practitioner awareness. And there's going to be an entire calendar, hopefully for the entire end of this fiscal and going into 2027, we're going to have an entire calendar published online.
That's pretty exciting.
We're excited.
Are you ready to roll?
I'm ready.
I know you are. As we get ready to kind of come to a close, we want to let the listeners and viewers know that over the coming episodes, we'll bring in business leaders, other subject matter experts, other folks from DoD companies, suppliers, everybody that could be potentially impacted across this industry, including practitioners. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of perspective about CMMC, that acronym soup thing that you were demystifying for us a while ago.
Driver's license.
Driver's license, that's what it is. So looking forward to that, Sravan. So let's close this out, but we want people to remember compliance is no longer just a technology issue. It is as much or more an organizational issue. It is a business readiness issue.
Yes.
You would concur with that, Sravan?
I concur. Compliance is already running.
I'm Tim Samuels.
I'm Sravan Ankaraju.
We want to thank everybody for joining us today for Compliance Countdown. And remember, the clock is ticking. Stay aware, be ready, avoid risks. We'll see you again soon with our next episode of Compliance Countdown.